Another awesome game in the AFC, Indianapolis Colts at the Las Vegas Raiders. The Vegas lines makers, got Indy by 3.
Yeah.
Indy by 3 on the road here. The Vegas Raiders, a very curious team the last few weeks.
Why don't you go back 3 weeks and tell me why the line's wrong?
Because there's not a very specific trend that happened. I would say that the Raiders are becoming...
What could have happened in the last 2 weeks that would make Vegas doubt the Raiders?
There was a point in... So college football... We talked about this before. College football teams do this all the time, right? They play one game a week. They play one game against a great team. They look great, and then they have ups and downs, and they play down to the competition, up to the competition. Is that the Raiders at this point? Because, man, they just got smoked by the Falcons, and then it took... an excellent play against a reasonable play call by Greg Williams to beat the Jets on Sunday. Amy Trask has some serious thoughts on the Greg Williams play call, by the way.
Funnily, they don't really align with yours. I can't imagine why.
We could be agreeable and disagree, as she's going to explain to us. What do you even make of the Raiders right now? They lost their Super Bowl to the Chiefs in Week 11. Yeah. They lost to the Falcons 43-6, and then snuck by the Jets 31-28. What do we even make of the Raiders?
It feels like you almost get a do-over in one of those bad games, or just you can throw it out, right? The Falcons game felt like the price.
Throw that out.
Yeah. Yeah,
right. Throw the film out, burn it.
Right. It felt like the price you pay for having had your Super Bowl game the week before against the Chiefs, which unfortunately you didn't even win. But that was like you put everything on the field for that game, and next week it's like, all right, we're probably going to come down to earth and get our ass kicked, almost regardless of who it's against. And they did, right? The week after that, when you face the Jets, the fact that you couldn't bounce back that week, that's more concerning. Like, the Jets suck. They're bad across the board. Sam Darnold is not helping that offense either. They were worse than they would have been if Joe Flacco was the quarterback. And you still required one of the worst play calls in NFL history to sneak the win at the end. So that, I think, is a big reason. The other part is I don't think the Raiders match up particularly well with Indianapolis. I think it's just a bad matchup when you look at where the strengths and weaknesses of both teams are. Phillip Rivers tends to play pretty well if you don't get pressure on him, and the Raiders don't get a ton of pressure on anybody. The Raiders defense generally is not great. So Phillip Rivers should have a pretty easy day at the office. The Colts should be able to move the ball. And then the other side, like, Indianapolis actually has a good defense. They're one of the 3 good defenses we talked about of Cleveland having played. So Derek Carr and the Raiders are probably going to have some struggles. So it just feels like the Colts are better on both sides of the ball in terms of the respective matchup.
Cleveland Ferrell had his this is amazing, for his first 2 sacks of the season last week, both strip sacks. By far the best pass rush grade of his career, but it is really tough. Max Crosby leads the team with 33 pressures. Ferrell has 30. Carl Nassib with 23, Arden Key with 20. I mean, it's just nobody's instilling fear up front for the Raiders, right? Other than Ferrell's 2 strip sacks last week against Mekhi Becton. They need to be able to get some level of pressure on Phillip Rivers. That has been a part of the game changer, I think, with Rivers this season. And then Rivers is still, oh man, I love it. He hasn't had an average game yet. He is yet to have an average football game. Let me see. It's 4 games under 60, and everything else has been 70 or above. Nothing in the 60s yet for Phillip Rivers. And again, when he plays poorly, generally they lose. They're 1-3. When he plays well, they've been okay. It comes down to Rivers. At least he's in a dome here in Vegas. They got the Vegas Dome, which will help. And Rivers generally this year has done a pretty good job spreading the ball around, making plays, and been pretty good for a guy our age.
Yeah.
So you like Indy in this one, huh?
I do.
See, I think this is where Vegas comes back. This is where Gruden gets them back on track. It's a big game. They're going to play up to the Colts. Yeah?
Okay.
This is my question about the Gruden Raiders so far. It's the Rex Ryan deal that he had a couple years ago with the Jets, playing up and down to your competition. I think it's going to be a good game, and we're going to come out of this game being like, man, look out, the Raiders are dangerous. They're sneaky in the playoffs. They just beat the Colts. That's what I think is coming out of this game.
They're on the outside looking in now. They got some work to do. Those last
well, yeah,
two
they're going to beat the Colts. And
yeah, those last 2 games were really...
well, the Jets game was a win, by the way. That counts favorably toward the standings.
But losing to Atlanta and then struggling to the Jets has really hurt them.
So the Raiders are 7-5, and they're keeping a close eye. So that's the other thing too. They're 1 game behind the Colts, who are tied for the Colts and Titans are tied for the AFC South lead. It's a massive game for both teams with playoff implications, because if the Raiders win, all of a sudden they're tied with the Colts in a battle for the wild card with a tiebreaker. So it's a huge game for both teams with the playoff implications. The Ravens, we already mentioned, are also 7-5. The Ravens also look like a team that at least wins 3 out of their next 4 games.
Yeah.
So the margin of error for the Raiders, they're no longer allowed to have this roller coaster ride. They can't do it. So just a weird team, man. They beat the Chiefs, they beat the Saints,
and almost beat the Chiefs again.
Lose to the Falcons. Need some consistency there.
That would have been insane, by the way. You mentioned the Chiefs going undefeated except for the Raiders and falling 0-2 against them.
Right. The one thing I will say, as far as playing to Derek Carr's skill set, zone heavy defense by the Colts. They make you be patient and throw the underneath stuff. Carr will do that, but you got to take those chances over the top and make some plays. I also didn't think Carr looked good against the Jets last week until that last throw. He was very fidgety in the pocket. I think he's got to play a cleaner game, but I'm expecting him to do it. I'm taking Vegas in this one. Okay. You got Indy?
Yeah.
They covering the 3?
No.
All right. Cool.
Thanks for watching the PFF YouTube channel. And if you want to subscribe, all you have to do is push the button. Don't forget everything you get. A little fantasy, push the button. A little green line for the gambling aspects of the game, push the button. College football, push the button. The YouTube channel from PFF.